This podcast is a proud member of the UUOP network.
This is episode 598 of the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast for February 13th, 2024. Hello everyone, welcome to the show. I am here with my amazing team, Tracy.
Hello.
Michelle.
Hi.
And Chris.
Hey!
I am, of course, your host, Lee, and we are here to talk rides.
Really?
I've kind of sprung this on the guys because they don't really know what's going on.
Podcast. We're talking
No
rides.
idea what's going on.
Right.
No.
So I decided a
Rides.
few weeks ago that Epic Universe opens at some point next year.
Uh-huh.
We like our rankings episode. Listeners like our rankings episode. So I've decided we are going to rank every ride at Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure. So by the time Epic Universe opens, we will have a definitive list of the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast hosts' best to worst ride.
Okay.
So we're not including Animal Planet's not even called that, Animal Actors, or Born, or Horror Makeup. It's only rides. There
Okay.
are 30 in total.
Okay.
The plan is to do 4 an episode. I don't think we're going to get through 4, but until we do one of these, I don't know how long it's going to go. So the idea is that we are rating each attraction on 5 topics. The facade, the story, whether it's worth the average wait time, the queue, and its uniqueness. And each of those topics, we will be rating each one out of 10. So for each one of those topics, we will have a rating out of 50, which will give us an overall rating for each ride out of 200.
Okay.
And then hopefully, by the end of it, we'll be able to put all the attractions in order. Does that make sense?
I think
No.
so.
No, shut up.
So we just rank it. We just give it a ranking of 1 to 10 for like
Each of the
facade.
things. Yes.
Yeah.
So we are
Yeah.
beginning in Islands of Adventure, going clockwise, and the first ride we hit is the Cat in the Hat. So Chris, I'm going to start with you and throw you in at the deep end. We are talking the facade out of 10, sir.
I'm going to give that a solid. We give it a solid 8.
Why?
Yeah, I think they. Well, I think it's. First of all, I love that ride. Second of all, I think it's a children's story. It feels like we're just talking about the facade now. Not even
Yes,
the ride.
we are. You're right.
I may have to change my number. Hold on. Because
by facade, you just mean like the exterior.
just the exterior,
of it?
yeah.
Yes.
Because I was putting the inside like the queue, and now that's a different category. No, facade. I don't know. I'll give it like I'll lower that a little bit, probably to a 6.
There's not much there, honestly.
Yeah, let's put like a 6. It's not bad. It's just not a lot going on.
Okay. Michelle?
I'm going to give it like a 4 because there's not really much to it on the outside.
Okay. Tracy?
I'm giving it a point for each stripe.
So 5, 6. 5 or 6?
6.
6.
I'm giving it 6
Okay.
because it's my land and it's just big and it's there. It's a beacon and I like it, but not that much, obviously. Let's get 6.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. Thought I'd better drag up a picture just so I know
Yeah.
exactly what I'm looking at. And it is the cat's hat. I mean, what more do you want?
Yeah.
With its hand
Yeah.
tipping it. There's even the box with thing 1 and thing 2 come
Yes.
in that box. I think I'm going to give it a 6. It's not amazing, but for what it is, I think it's fairly decent. So I'm going to give that a 6.
Gets
We
the point
might rattle
across.
through these actually
Yeah.
quite quickly. So that gives us a total of what? 22. So moving on to the story. Michelle.
Aw. Now, the story, would that include like the ride itself?
The story of the entire ride is what we're looking at. What are you looking like that for?
So I'm confused as to whether you mean everything you see when you're on the ride.
The story of the ride.
Yep, you can say it as
Just
many
the
times as
story,
you want.
not
but
like the Not like the feeling of the ride at
No,
all.
we're talking about
He's
the
going to
story.
say the story.
I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It's literally what's the story? Like the story of Gringotts. What's the story of Gringotts?
So you're
rate it on
talking about the
story.
line before you get to it, right?
No, because that's the cue.
Oh yeah. So the ride itself.
I'm just
right?
confused because there's not like a section where we actually rate the ride itself.
That's
So I was wondering if
Because
the
you're
ride
not.
itself was going into the story. So, okay, that was why I had the question. Story itself, 7.
okay.
I mean, we all know the story, and I
Yes.
like the
Yeah.
story. So,
It's difficult because this is a book that I have read many times as well, so I know the story virtually word for word. But I'm trying not to like use the visuals of it as well. I am going to go for. I've got between two. Hang on. I'm just having a battle in my head. I'm going to go for 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about it now. You've made me question what I mean by story a little bit. Because obviously the story is the book of the story, but the story of the ride, like why are you there as well? So like I'm trying to think of like something like Forbidden Journey. The story behind that ride is that you've been invited into Hogwarts to have a look round. Like it's not just the story of the ride, the whole thing, and there isn't really one to Cat in the Hat. So
Yeah.
you've got the story
Listen,
of
you're
the
just reading
ride.
book.
But then the attraction itself doesn't have a story of why you're there. You're just kind of riding through the story, as it were, like
Well, I
of
think
the
it's confusing
actual
for this
Mhm.
one.
book. Well, no, because it's not confusing, because it's that's why I haven't done the ride
You
itself.
can't say what's not confusing to another person.
I can. I've just said it. So I'm going to give it a 6, I think, because I love the story of the Cat in the Hat, but the story overall of the attraction, like there isn't one. You just happen to be in there and you're going through the story.
Well, you're kind of walking up the garden gate.
Yeah, but why?
That's what the Cat in the Hat did.
Yeah, but you're not the Cat in the Hat,
Okay.
Chris.
You're like the watcher of the Cat in the Hat.
I mean, that sounds like a
The voyeur.
stalker. Exactly.
I don't know. You're just going through the book, really. But it's not a bad story because it's a good story of Cat in the Hat. But I don't know. I'm gonna go 6, so we have an even number there.
I mean, you don't have to. So
I just don't know like how to rate the story on this because like again, it's nothing that is you're here to kill Voldemort or something.
That's a new
okay, that gives
iteration.
us 26. So moving on, the next one. This is an interesting one. I've thrown this in there because I think this will throw a spanner in the works for a lot of them. So basically, I went on to, let me find the website, I'll give them credit, q-times.com, and they have the average wait time for all the attractions. So you are now ranking the Cat in the Hat for how worth it is waiting the average wait time for the attraction, which according to q-times.com, whatever it was, is 9 minutes. Tracing.
9 minutes is not a long time.
But how worth is it for that 9 minutes?
Yeah. Personally, 9 minutes, that's a walk on to me. So yeah, I would do it. If everything,
I'm not asking you whether you'd do it or not. I'm asking you to rank it out of 10.
No, I'm getting there. I'm justifying what I'm saying. If everything's working as well in that ride,
Which it doesn't.
but it should, 9 minutes, that's worth it. I think that's a 9.
Okay. It's a weird one, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Because it's like, is it worth 9 minutes for the Cat in the Hat? Hell yeah.
I don't think we've ever waited more than about 2.
No,
be
not
honest.
normally. It's never busy. I don't want to give it a 10. Because there's better things you could spend 9 minutes waiting for.
A
But
bus?
yeah, I'd agree with 9.
Hey.
I'd agree with a 9. Chris?
I want to give it I'm going to go a 9 as well. I want to say 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I love this ride. Like we, all rode it this past weekend just because it was a 5-minute wait.
Yeah.
Which was basically walk on.
Yep.
And I think it's worth it, but I'll give it a 9 because I don't know if it's perfect.
This average wait time thing is going to come into play much more in other
Yeah.
attractions for definite.
Oh, I can imagine already.
Michelle?
It's an easy one for me. 10. This is one of the rides that I can like always count on when I don't have Express Pass and I just want to go in the park and have fun. Like I can 9 times out of 10 walk onto this ride, and I love that. So I'm giving it a 10 for that.
Okay. Yeah, I did. I didn't want to give it a perfect 10 because
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, is it worth riding in the first place? Kind of, yeah, but is it like,
Yes.
it's not a 10 out of 10 attraction, is it? But yeah, it's
Well, that's not what I was asking. You didn't ask me
No,
if
I
it's a
know.
10 out of 10 attraction. Is it worth that weight? Heck yeah.
Okay, moving on to the queue.
Mm.
And I'm doing this one. The queue is kind of to be fair. I mean, it's very short for a start.
Mhm. Well,
Because it's-
I mean, they do have the extended queue, but
Do they?
I don't think it's ever been used.
I assume it goes round where Horton
Well,
Egg is.
you know, I didn't mean outside, because you've got a switchback that goes to the door and back up, but normally they cut that off, and then it goes behind.
Yeah, but
when
even
you go
when
into
that
the
queue's
house.
full, it'd be lucky it's got 25 minutes in it. But as far as the theming goes, I suppose it's in keeping with the rest of the attraction, which is kind of minimal at this point, let's be honest. It's kind of cute. I'm going to give it I don't think I can give it much more than a 5. Chris?
I'm gonna go higher on that because the way I see it, it's not like, oh, is it the best queue in the world? Is it fitting to what it is? And I think it really is. I think it really sets the tone of the ride. You're almost walking into this book.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go 8.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
Michelle?
I'm gonna give it a 6 on the queue because it is really cute. It does the job of like pulling you into the book. However, I think it needs some TLC. So 6.
Tracy?
Yes, I'm giving it a 7 because,
You love the Cat in the Hat.
well, I love the Cat in the Hat, but it's like you're walking straight into the pages of the book, and like I said a little earlier, it's like you're walking up the garden path to the house before everything goes crazy. And I think if it had some interactive elements, it would really enhance it. You know, just so, even if it's like the centers of flowers that you press and you get these weird noises that you get in the ride.
That's a good point.
You know, I think that would really have elevated it.
Yeah.
It's a very calming queue, which is great when you've got kids that are, you know, just going mental. I like it. I like the fact that it's just the artwork that we're all used to. So yeah, 7.
Okay. So originally I had ride uniqueness down for the last one, and Michelle's kind of made me, and I feel like if we're going to change this, it needs to get changed now before we move on. So I am going to keep it as ride uniqueness, but I'm also going to incorporate the ride overall. Because Michelle said we haven't got a chance to do that. So it's the uniqueness of the ride and the ride itself. So the actual attraction.
That's two
Like the
completely different
ride.
things,
Yeah.
though.
Fuck it, just do ride overall. That was what I originally had in, and I thought it was so yeah, we're going to go the ride, I guess. For that.
Yeah, but you know, like the uniqueness of the ride's quite important.
You.
Well,
It
that's
is.
part of the ride overall
We even
experience. So
talked about this
Can we make a
yesterday.
category just for the uniqueness, though?
they're all unique, though.
No, they
That's
aren't.
all of the
though.
rides are
no,
unique.
No,
Carousel?
so the conversation, yeah, the carousel isn't one fish, two fish isn't really unique. It's still the ride system. Like Hagrid's, you and Chris would have a very different opinion of how unique Hagrid's is compared to us. Because Tracy and I
Yeah.
have done a drop track before. To you, that
And a
drop track
motorcycle ride.
for you, that drop track in Hagrid's is something entirely different that you've never experienced before, but we have. That's why I put it in, because
Yeah.
it would be different. But anyway,
I like the overall.
Yeah.
I like the overall idea better.
to be fair, originally that's what I had in,
yeah.
and I changed it. Go on then, Chris. The ride itself, I guess.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty unique in that. No. I'd probably give the ride. This is weird. I'll give it like a 6.
Really?
But I love the ride. I don't know. It's because I don't think it's like a mind-blowing ride. I'll do it. I won't wait too long for it. And I enjoy it every time, we do go on it, but it's not like this, oh my God, did you ride Cat in the Hat? So I don't know. Let's go with 6.
Okay. Michelle?
I'm going to give it a 6 too. It is one that I like. It's nostalgic for me, so I love it. But every time I go on it, even though I'm having fun, I just notice how much TLC it needs inside and out. So
Really?
as it is right now, there's lots of things on it that don't work. It needs some painting. The animatronics need a little bit of love. So as it is right now, a 6. I think it could be better if it would spin again a little bit more. But
Yes.
That's
6.
true. Yeah.
Tracy?
Yeah, I'm also going a 6, even though you all know it's one of my favourite things. Love the aesthetics, love the story. As I say, it just needs some TLC at the moment, and there are parts of that ride that haven't worked for years.
Exactly.
You know, the thing 1 and thing 2 that's supposed to be running about.
Sometimes they do. So.
I don't remember.
Sometimes
the last
they
time.
do.
Yeah.
And even the spinny thing in the ceiling with like the clothes and stuff in it, that doesn't always work. And I wish they'd bring back the clothing curtain.
Yeah, they
Gillian's
never
just
work.
said, amen, girl.
Yeah.
What?
Gillian. So, go on.
No, I was gonna ask the clothes. So we actually just wrote it this past weekend, and I forgot who brought it up about the clothing.
Was it
that
Gillian?
opens up? Was it? It probably was.
Yes, it will have been.
Because literally, no, because she wasn't on our cart. So
Okay.
somebody on our cart brought it up. I'm lying. She was on our cart. So it probably was her.
It will have
Anyways,
been.
the point being is that she literally, the first, because there's 2 going in and coming out. And then the first one, the clothes opened up and she literally goes, oh my God, the clothes worked. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm like, has that always worked? And then when we got to the other one where it's supposed to like get you out of that area, the clothes are opened already. So
Yeah.
one of them's working, the other one wasn't. And
So-
also the 2 things were stationary. They weren't
Yeah.
moving.
So when I rode this with Gillian and Noah, when you went out with Grace before the weekend in 2022, that's all Gillian did was point out all the things that didn't work on this attraction. And I mean, she's not wrong, and that she has a real bee in her bonnet about the clothes for definite. As far as the ride goes, it's a dark ride, but it's not even a good dark ride. That's the problem.
It's old school dark ride.
This is
Black
kind of
light.
what we talked about with Epic Universe last week, that people are going to walk into Islands of Adventure and they're going to go on something like this and go, what the hell is this?
But it is going to be dated because it's old literature.
Yeah, but it's not
and
meant
it's-
to be a dated ride. You can still bring it up to today. I can't give it more than a 5. I just think...
This is Islands ET though.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Islands ET.
90% of the rides in Islands are Islands ET, because they've all been open since the park opened and they're all still there.
No, but yeah, I mean the cheesiness of it. Right,
I
like-
can't give it more than a 5. It's really showing its age. I think it's I love it and I'll ride it probably every time we go, but it's horrible. Honestly, it's not good.
I think it has potential. It really does need
yeah.
to be updated.
It does.
Like, for sure.
For definite.
Well, I'll be needing a new ride buddy because I'm not riding with him anymore.
Okay, I'll add that up in a second unless someone else wants to do it.
Done.
No, the whole thing.
Oh.
400.
It wasn't 400. So moving on to the next attraction, which is literally just to the right round the corner, which is a 1 fish, a 2 fish, a red fish, a blue fish. This one's going to be interesting. So the first one we are looking at is the facade. Anybody? Michelle. The question is, does it even have one?
It does not. Not really. I'm going to give it a 1.
Just because you don't want to give it 0.
Yeah.
Can we?
I mean, it's entirely up to you.
I mean, you can see the ride itself, like out there, and it looks fun. You can see people
not the
getting
facade, though.
squirted. Is it
That's
not?
No, the facade is the exterior.
It's not like
And
I know, but isn't that
theoretically,
the
the exterior-
exterior?
No, that's the ride. You can't include the ride into the facade.
Yeah, no.
So the facade would literally be just the sign that says
Effectively,
red
yeah.
fish, blue fish. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
All
That's why I
right,
asked
well,
if
if
you
that's
can
all
give it
you're
0.
including is literally just the sign, then I'll
Yeah.
give it a 0.
Wow. I mean, I'm going to have a look at the sign. It might be a cool sign. I need to see it.
I like how optimistic.
Oh, the
you're
sign
being.
is pretty cool, actually. Yeah, I'm not giving that. Anyway, are you sure you want to give it a 0, Michelle?
Hold on, let me give it one last look.
Have you seen it?
I don't need to see it. I know that sign.
Because effectively that's the facade.
Uh-huh.
This is funny, by the way. I can't wait to get on Stormforce Acceleratron.
No, it's
Let me
still a
look at the
0.
sign
A
again.
0. Oh, wow.
Yeah. For me, the fact that they've purposely kept it open like that so that you can see the entire thing and it looks like it's enticing as a whole. So if I were able to look at the entire thing that I'm walking up on,
But then that's the cue.
I would give it more. But if I'm
effectively.
only rating
Yeah,
the sign,
That's true, because then if you're doing the whole thing, you're doing the sign, which is the facade, the queue, and the ride. It's double illegals.
Yep.
double illegals.
I will say, after looking up, in my mind, for some reason, I have no idea why, the sign was just like some piece of crap sign. But this is actually kind of nice.
It's
So,
awesome, yeah. Tracy.
I'm giving it a 4
uh,
because it's bright, it's colourful, it catches your eye, it draws you in, it does what it's meant to.
Okay.
But it's just a sign. There's no
Yeah, there's
arch
nothing
or anything
around
else,
it.
so that's why it's
No.
only getting 4.
I like the sign. I think it's pretty cool. What did I give the Cat in the Hat?
6.
Doesn't matter. You rank it what you
It
need
does
to
because
on its own.
no, because I've still got. I can't give the Cat in the Hat a 6 and then give this like a 10.
Yeah, you could. You'd be a but you could.
I like it. It's cool, but again, there's not much to it, so I'm going to give it a 4. Nah. Yeah.
Sure?
Yeah.
We're talking about uniqueness.
No, I'm going to give it a 3. Shut up, Chris.
If I hadn't looked it up, I would have given it a 0, because again, in my mind, it was nothing. It was just a thing that just said one fish, two
Yeah.
fish. Seeing it now, it is cool. However, I can't give it a 1 because you reminded me of Stormforce, and I just looked that up, and that's just total crap. So I will give this one a 2.
Okay. I got 9. Wow. Moving on to
Almost double digits.
the story. Tracy, the story of one fish, two fish, a red fish, a blue fish.
Is the one?
Yeah, you've got
That's what I was going to say.
up, down,
So-
down.
So you mean the interactivity of the
Sing it,
ride?
Lee.
No,
Sing
the
it.
story.
Oh,
of
the story.
ride.
The story is well. No, it's difficult because if you're singing it, you're doing the ride. You're not doing the story.
That is the story, though.
No,
the
but-
story of the ride
hang on.
is you trying to go up and down.
But if I go and get the book and open it, it's not going to sing to me. It's not going to spit water at me.
It won't
that's
do.
the ride,
That's
not
the
the-
story of the book.
You can have Lee spitting water.
It's cute, and it's always good when I can time it so Lee gets squirted. It's
That's what she said.
fun. It's cute, and I like it. So I'm going to give it 6.
6.
Yeah, because it is a lot of fun, and we did.
You're not voting on whether it's fun or not.
No,
You're
I
voting
know,
on the
But
story.
the story is, and
Yeah,
it's
this isn't
because-
the ride voting. This is
This
the
is
No, I know.
story itself.
uniqueness.
Yeah,
Shut
because the story and how they've incorporated it into everything.
That's a good point, actually.
You know, it's not just you are the story.
You're interacting with the
Yes,
story.
you are-
That's a
so
really
you
good
are the
point,
story.
actually. Yeah, because they could have just done it going a spinner where you go up and down and the story's played. But the fact that you're interacting with the story, actually, that's a really good point. I'm going to
That's a
give it
stretch.
a 6.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it
A
a
6?
6. Yeah,
Wow.
because the story literally affects the ride on this one, I think. Like if you don't adhere to the story, you're getting wet. Very. Christopher, this is the whole point of this, though. We don't all have to agree on the point.
We have to agree. If not, we get voted off.
It doesn't work like that.
Oh.
I could say.
I don't know. This is
something, but-
difficult because, like, normally when we do our like rankings, we have everything, so we can kind of overlook everything and go, well, we can't say this is that good because I said this was that good. So it's hard to put these rankings in there. I agree to a certain extent that it's cool that you get to control it, but then I think of Twirl and Hurl because that's similar. And what would I rank that? But anyways, this one, I'd probably give it a I give it a 3. I mean, yeah, you interact with the story, but there's not a whole lot of storytelling going on, in my opinion.
Okay. Michelle?
I'm going to give it a 2 because I really don't think there is much of a story. I think there's instructions,
Oh, that's good.
but I wouldn't call it a story. So I'm going to give it a 2.
Okay.
There's nothing that draws me in, like that makes me feel like I'm a part of the whole experience.
I've never even heard you say you've been on it.
Oh yeah, I have.
When was the last time
My
you
children
went on
like to get me wet on it.
I mean, that sounds
Last year. Audrey, if I ride it with Audrey,
I
she
think we need to
purposely
stop.
soaks me. But if like there was one time that she got me soaked so much that they wanted to ride it one more time at night before we left, and I did not want to get soaked, and so I promised her I'd buy her a churro if she didn't get a single drop of water on me.
Did
And the
she?
whole ride, she was like, ah! She was trying not to get me soaked, and it was great.
All right, moving on to the bang for your buck. The average wait time, according to q-times.com, for the one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish is 12 minutes. This is a tough one because I think, depending on the time of the year, will have an impact on how worth that wait is. Because if it's the middle of summer and it's absolutely boiling, hell yeah, you give it a 9 for 12-minute wait. We rode it for the first time in a long time when we were there in September last year, and honestly had an absolute blast on it.
Yes.
It was so much fun. I'm going to give it an 8.
Ooh.
I don't think I can give it a 9 like the Cat in the Hat, because the Cat in the Hat was a low wait time. Yeah, I'm going to stick with an 8. Chris?
I feel like that average wait time is skewed in a certain direction because, like you said, during the summertime,
Yes.
I feel like it's way higher than that, to be honest. Like, I never see it
Yeah.
low, and doesn't have a lot of like capacity either, so that kind of keeps it
It's
up
a
there.
slow load.
Yeah, especially with kids, right? I would give it like, if it's actually a 12-minute average wait time.
That's what we're
maybe a
going on, the
6.
average wait
Okay.
time.
So that's actually
So-
only you're watching 2 rides then.
Probably.
Yeah. So 6, I guess. 6. Yeah, 6.
Okay. Shell?
I'm gonna give it a 4.
Michelle's so down. I tell you what, that iTunes review that got said that all the rest of them are dead negative and Michelle's the positive one wants to listen to this episode and they'll change their entire mind on that.
Well, this obviously is not one of my favorite rides. It's not normally worth that wait for me. Like, yes, in the summertime, but in the summertime when it's hot outside, the wait time is definitely higher than 12 minutes. If I have Express Pass, of course, that's fine. But it's a slow load and the queue is boring. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
4.
Hey, we're not on the queue yet. Tracy?
Oh, sorry. Spoiler.
If you'd asked me before we rode it again, this would have been pretty low. But like you said, we had a lot of fun. Obviously, the weather plays a part. And also whether they've got the water on or off. Because sometimes it's not on. To us, it wouldn't be cold, but to Floridians, it is
they
cold.
do tend to do
And they'll
that,
turn the
actually.
water off.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But 12 minutes isn't a long time.
Not really.
You know, it's a conversation. You stand in queue.
It's a churro.
You know, yeah. I'd give that a 6.
I skewed that way higher, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
I think this next one could be interesting. The queue. The queue. Christopher.
The best bit?
The queue?
Yes, the queue.
Oh. Like it's just bars. It's just railings. That's it.
I mean, you can see the ride from those railings, to be fair.
But
But that's not the queue.
But it is
true.
like
We're
it's not
rating
the
just
facade.
the queue.
Okay.
Now, I think what Lee's point is that you have a view in the queue,
Of the ride.
which could add to it, but it's just there's zero theming on the actual queue itself, And because of that, I will give it a 0.
A 0?
Wow.
A 0.
Wow.
Yeah, because, okay, I get to see the ride. There's not a lot to see there either.
People are getting squirted in the face. I mean, what more do you want?
I can do that online.
Wow. Wow. Yeah,
Well,
but you don't have to
obviously went
clear.
somewhere different.
You don't have to clear your browsing history after
That's
you've
true.
wrote
Yeah,
one fish,
that's
two
true.
fish.
All right, so I'm going to bump it up to a 1 now.
Depends on the website.
No, not me. I'm keeping it at 0. Sorry.
Really?
Really.
Wow.
She stays in incognito mode.
There's nothing. There's literally nothing. And honestly, I even get confused with the queue every time we go to try to ride
that's
it.
true.
Because it's not very clear which direction you need to go in,
We
whether you have an
couldn't find
express
it.
pass or not.
Tracy,
Well,
it's going to give it 10.
considering that it has shade and it has fans,
Tracy's
on a
just
hot day,
finding as many
No.
ways to bump it up as she can.
on a hot day, that's worth its weight in gold. It's not a long line. Yes, it's boring. It's just railings, and you're watching the ride and listening to the music and everything. But just for the fact of it having a roof and fans, I'm giving it.
There's
2.
no roof.
It's got a little roof thing over
I
the top.
don't think it has.
It's a
When you
tiny,
get-
isn't there like a tiny piece right before you load?
Yeah, but it's still got a bit of a roof.
Like a foot long.
You wish.
What are you giving it?
A 2.
A 2?
Yeah.
I mean, it is horrible, but the fact that you can see the ride and hear the song, I'm going to give it a 1. Because it's not good. And Tracy's just filling the dock and it's got a 3. I wonder if I think there is an attraction that will push that, to be fair. But anyway, the ride overall is what we're moving on to next. So Michelle.
The ride, I'll give it a 5.
Okay.
I like the ride itself. Like it's fun. It's nostalgic.
Cool. Tracy.
Kind of having a crisis.
There's gonna be attractions we're gonna talk about in this where we're literally not gonna talk about each section and just go 5, and then other ones where we're probably gonna wax lyrical for about half an hour
Yeah.
on each
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
It's not the best ride. It's not the worst ride. Is it fun? Hell yeah. What is it? One of my I've got to do rides? No.
No.
So yeah, I think 5's a fair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna agree again. It's like it's fun. If we hadn't have done it last year, it probably would have been way lower. But we did have a lot of fun on
We
it
did.
that day. It was we both got off it laughing our heads off, and it is
Especially
a fun
since you were
ride.
dripping.
And it's one of them. I don't even think if you get wet, you don't get that wet
Oh,
on
no.
it. So it's not like getting on Dudley or something and coming off it absolutely drenched.
Challenge accepted.
So yeah, I'm going to give it a 5 as well.
Yeah, the way I look at this ride, like I never ride it.
I know.
So, and the reason why is the last time I rode it, again, my niece was with us. So I'm like, let me go on it with her. And it was the middle of summer and it felt like I was on the surface of the sun.
Uh-huh.
So like my problem with this ride is it's like, all right, it squirts water. That'll cool you off during the daytime, but there's no cover on it. You're dying. Like I was dying on that ride. There was no fun during the summer on that ride whatsoever. I can't see. I'm boiling. And then during the wintertime, I don't want to get squirt with water.
Oh.
But you did say they turn it off during the wintertime.
Yes,
So I guess that would be
sometimes,
the optimal. So that's why I won't give it like super low. You know what? I'll go right in the middle and do 5 as well. So I'll just do
Hey.
straight across the board.
So Tracy, do you want to total that up?
I have. You've done it.
No, the whole
Sorry, I
thing.
did it.
I've got a calculator going alongside it all. I've done it.
So after 2 attractions, we have the Cat in the Hat sitting with 134 points. And we have One Fish, Two Fish sitting at 73 points. So at the moment, the Cat in the Hat is the greatest ride at Universal Orlando Resort. We're going to take a quick ad break and then we'll be back to finish off Seuss Landing. Sorry, Jeff Royce.
Zeus?
It is Seuss. I've been telling you that
No,
for
he always
years.
complains that I pronounce it Seuss Landing.
Because it's Seuss.
Yeah, so we'll be back.
Man, we need a vacation.
Oh, I got this.
Whoa, that's awesome! But I was thinking something a little more adventurous.
Okay, how about this?
Yes! Woo! And how about some relaxation from Mama?
Oh, perfect. How did you do that?
Easy. Portkey Vacations.
For your next vacation, let Portkey Vacations take away all the guesswork and stress of planning. From air and hotel to theme park tickets and everything else in between, they've got you covered. Just visit portkeyvacations.com and touch the Portkey to get started with your free, no-obligation quote request. With just one touch, and Portkey Vacations will magically take you wherever you want to go.
Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing our ranking of the rides at Islands of Adventure's Seuss Landing with the Carousel. Once again, we are looking at the facade. Tracy is the one.
I don't think so. I think everybody thinks that the street of the lifted Lorax is the facade.
Is that actually part of the attraction?
No, that's the street of the lifted Lorax. Different story.
Oh, no, I'm going to have a look. Because it must have a sign like One Fish, Two Fish does. I think I'll have to
It does, and it's
include-
even worse.
I mean, technically,
Oh, yes, I can see
you've
it.
got the carousel as well.
It's like an arch with carousel above it, isn't it?
Wait, do those and Tracy, you probably know the specific term. Those
The truffula trees.
is that part of it or
No,
no?
that's
No,
not.
that's
not,
technically
right?
no.
That's
So
the
this
street
is
of
even
the
worse.
facade
It's
is
just
the
the sign
arch.
that says
That's what I
carousel.
said.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can count because I think Tracy, you just mentioned like you have the ride itself, which I don't think you can count that.
Well, no.
Even
Right? Well,
The
you would
facade
Well, it
is
is the
literally the
exterior
arch
of the ride, if
with
you look
the
at the
sign.
roof.
That's the facade
okay.
to me.
Oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was.
It's not great, though, is it?
It's not bad though. Okay, so you are literally going through a very Zeusian arch. That it could have just fallen off one of the pages.
You can stretch this as much as you want.
I'm not quite sure about the weird faded cloud on top that looks like
She
it's got
said.
lips. Do you not think it looks like it's got pouty lips?
Looks like a fish.
Yes, like a fish.
Or a sausage. It could be a sausage. A blue sausage. Now that
Anyway.
sound dirty. It's blue and it's yellow.
Can you
And-
count the top of the ride?
No.
You counted the top of
With
Cat in
Horton.
the Hat.
No, that's the facade. That's not the top of the ride. The facade is the
okay.
hat.
I'm giving this a 2.
How long did it take you to get that to 2?
Yes.
I'm giving it a 2 as well. It's the least Seussian thing in Seuss Landing. It's the most nondescript entrance, I think, to any attraction I've ever seen. It's
It gets the point across.
To be fair, at night, I'm looking at a picture of it here at night, and lit up, it looks pretty cool, but it's
Yeah.
still kind of nondescript. I'm still only giving it 2. Chris? Oh, I'd love to get onto a land where there's some actually rides that are worth ranking at this point.
Yeah, honestly, 1 just because it's a sign.
It's an arch as well.
I mean, yeah, but it feels the arch is better than the sign.
I agree.
Wow. I'm not saying something.
Yeah, so I'm giving it a 1 as a courtesy, I think. Yeah, which ranks Storm Force even lower now.
Yeah.
so,
Michelle?
I don't know, huh?
I'll give it a 1 as well. I mean, it does have a little bit more of a presence than One Fish, Two Fish with that arch. And it is pretty at night, you're right. So I'll give it a 1.
Okie dokie. Moving on to the story. Why have I given myself this? Does it even have a story? What is this? Because this carousel isn't even based on a book, is it? Or anything.
No, it's
It's
just,
No.
just
it's
Zeusian
just a
Just
characters
creatures.
strange creatures.
on a carousel. So it doesn't really have a story at all. And I don't want to give
I
anything
can't
a
remember
0.
what you hear on.
Nothing. It's just music, isn't there?
I don't remember. I don't remember that you hear anything in the line
I
or
don't
anything.
think so. I'm going to give it a 1.
You just hear the music from the carousel.
Yeah, I'm going to
Uh.
give it a 1 just because I don't want to give anything a 0. Because there is no story to it at all. Chris?
Doesn't it talk, though?
I don't think so. I think the person operating it sometimes says things, but I don't think there's a narrative on it or anything.
Okay.
This could be very low, this attraction, by the end.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yes, it is.
If if the music can be interpreted as a story, I like the way the music starts and stops on that. So because of that, I'm going to give it a 3.
A 3?
Ooh.
Yes,
Wow.
I'm going high. 3.
Michelle?
0.
0. Straight in
There's
there.
no story.
Michelle is the
There's
most
no story.
negative person on this podcast, by the way.
Can't wait to see her
iTunes
review.
needs to get taken back.
Bring them on.
Tracy.
Bring them on.
I'm giving it a 2.
How?
Because-
There's no
You've
story.
Down.
because of
The
music and the fact
But
that
that's not a story. The category isn't music. It's story.
and if you think
It's-
about it, it's basically the story of some sort of Dr. Frankenstein
Yeah, Dr. Oddfellow.
because somebody had to put those animals together.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Michelle, she's entitled to give it whatever she wants
She is.
to
She
give it.
is.
So do we
I'm
agree with
surprised
it?
Chris
No.
gave it a 3. For
It's
God's
the
sake.
highest one out of
I
all
like
4
the
of
way
us.
it starts and stops.
I like the bit in the middle.
Ah, wow. Yes. Right. Moving on. We're going bang for the buck. The average wait time, according to q-times.com for the carousel is 6 minutes. Chris, how worth that wait is that attraction?
At 6 minutes, I will give it a... I'll give it a 6. I'll match the wait time just because it's a nice, relaxing ride. If you're hanging out with some friends and you just want to like sit together while being on a ride, I think that ride gets the job done. I don't think it's normally 6 minutes because it normally has a much longer wait.
Really?
But at 6 minutes, yeah.
I've
yeah,
never
'cause-
waited longer than about 5 minutes for it.
Yeah.
Really? I just maybe busy time. The times that I
Yeah.
have ridden it, probably just busy times. But at 6 minutes, I think it's a fun little. Hey, we're here. Let's jump on that real quick.
Okay. You mean like a group of weekenders people?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
We need to take over the carousel next time.
Yeah.
We
How
did
many?
the first time.
50.
Yeah. Michelle,
I'll give it actually a 7.
a 7.
Whoa.
Yeah, I like the ride itself, and I've never waited long. I've never waited long on this ride, for this ride. So, and it's fun. It actually lasts a pretty good amount of time too, and I always feel silly on it. It makes me feel like a kid. So yeah.
I think we did it after riding One Fish, Two Fish at the last trip, didn't we? Tracy,
Yep. I'm giving this an 8
an 8.
because I
Ooh.
love this carousel. You've got interaction with the animals. It actually, like Michelle said, it's a long ride. It's got some pace on it
Chris said it was relaxing.
compared
It
to
is relaxing.
Velocicoaster. Yes, it is. But for a carousel, for a carousel, it's got quite a bit of speed on it. I just think it's a lot of fun, and it is one of the things that I'd be like, just want to ride it once each trip. So yeah, 8.
I don't love it.
Because you don't like round
And
and round
again,
rides.
yeah, motion sickness, which tells me it doesn't go that fast because I'd never got off it feeling ill, which surprises me. To be fair, I'm going to give it a 7. I think for 6 minutes, it's a decent ride. Like, yeah, I don't think. I
Okay.
think that's fine. So next up, Michelle, we have the queue.
It's good for it's for Quandary.
I'd give that more.
Okay, I'm actually going to give the queue a 1 instead of a 0 because it's very bright, and
Does it have a queue?
it does.
Yeah, trip
I run through it every time. It's very bright
ramped
and
switchback.
spacious. So, yeah, 1.
Wow. Okay. Tracy.
I think Michelle's being generous. I'm giving it a 0.
Really?
It's literally just a concrete switchback. I don't remember anything in it.
I don't even think there's a switchback. Don't you just go around the
There is.
outside of the ride?
No,
it's
there's
a ramp,
several
it's
switchbacks.
a ramp
Okay.
switchback.
I don't really pay much attention.
Yeah, there's nothing in it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
But I'm going to give it a 1 for the same reason that I gave One Fish, Two Fish a 1, because you get to see the ride. So there. I can't give it more than that. You can see the ride from it. Because the last time we rode it, we were watching, there was a load of blue shirts doing something on it. And we were like, what are they doing?
That creepy little voice.
Yeah. Christopher.
I'm also going to give it a 1 just because I gave One Fish, Two Fish a 0. And that had no cover. This at least blocks some of the sun off of your face. So it gets 1 point for that.
I love the reasons we're finding just to give something a point. There's a bit of shade. I'll give it a point. It's all right. The ride itself, Tracy.
I like this ride, as you know. I'm giving it an 8 because I think it's a good all-rounder. The whole family can ride it. It's got the interactive ability. I'm making words up. You know, it's Zeusian. That's fine. It's allowed. And it's, you know, it's not a slow ride, so yeah,
Okay.
8.
Again, not the biggest fan of carousels as a rule. It's not something I rush to ride. It doesn't really have anything that elevates it above any other carousel other than you might be able to rock the head back and forwards a little bit.
You can make the ears twitch.
Yeah. The movement isn't exactly amazing on it, let's be honest. It's a carousel, isn't it? It's just like a 6. Chris?
I don't know. I've never had a bad time on this ride. But it's also a carousel, so 5. Not much to say about this, right?
There isn't. Michelle?
I'm between a 5 and a 6. I think I'll give it a 5. Same reason as Chris. It's a carousel at the end of the day. It is a little bit more fun than a standard carousel because if you get one of the creatures that actually moves in one way or another, then it's kind of fun, I guess. But yeah, it's a 5.
Okay, so that gives that a total of 67 overall. So we're going in order at the moment. It's Cat in the Hat, One Fish, Two Fish, and then the Carousel. We're moving on. We have the High in the Sky Zeus Trolley Train Ride, which is the last attraction that we will be covering in Islands of Adventure. I'm just trying to find the facade at this point. Okay. Sounds pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You can, like, the facade's actually, you've got the star on-off machine. What does that mean?
Doesn't the sign rotate?
Oh, I think it does actually, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's probably the most Zeusian facade of any of the 4 attractions, of the 4 rides in Seuss Landing. I am going to give it a... What did I give the Cat in the Hat?
6.
I've got to give it a 7 then, I guess, haven't I? I can't give it a 7. I'm going to give it a 6, the same as a Cat in the Hat. I can't give it more than the Cat in the Hat. So I'm giving it a 6. Michelle?
Doesn't it include that little red piece that's next to the sign?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's falling into it. Okay, so I'm going to give the facade actually a 7.
Okay.
Because it's pretty elaborate. There's a lot going on there.
For what it is, I guess, yeah.
And there is movement, and it is pretty at night as well. Yeah, I'll give it a 7.
Okay. Christopher?
I am going to give it...
So difficult.
It's interesting though, isn't it? That's the point. I think how many people are listening and playing along going, oh,
See, the problem with it is that when we do, again, when we rank things against other things.
yes.
So it's like, are we ranking this against something else? Or we're just out of our enjoyment of this queue, or I'm sorry, facade.
Well, I think that's the point, is we're ranking them individually. We're not supposed to be comparing
which
them
makes
at
it
all.
more difficult. I
Yes.
think.
Yeah, that's a good
Because
point.
you can rank 2 things the same, but one being like ranking the enjoyment of Velocicoaster and Seuss Trolley Train. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, love them both, but they're so different.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember that though when you're giving these things really high numbers.
But you
right?
don't.
Then
That's
you're
what you
ranking
just
against
said.
other things.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
not the point.
You're ranking them all individually. So, yeah.
So you could have Velocicoaster up there with Storm Force if
Yeah.
you think so. You know what? I'm going to give this one an 8. I do like the facade on this one. I think it is one of the most Seussian entrances that you can have. I also like the little tunnel that you go in there. I think the colors are vibrant. I love all that.
It's the first portal. It's the original portal.
There you go.
Mm.
Tracy already put yours in.
Have now. I'm giving it a 6.
Okay. I thought you might give it higher.
It's bright and it's colourful. It's got the moving bits and it's got like you said, the star on off machine, and it's just bright and inviting.
Okay.
I think it's worth 6.
Next up, we are covering the story of the ride. Michelle.
The story, it has 2 stories actually. So I'm going to give the story 6.
Okay. It does have 2 stories,
Because
you're right.
It does have 2 stories.
It's
And I
technically
like
a
the
12.
stories.
I think
Yeah.
this could be an interesting one, actually. Chris. I just mean
Yeah.
the ride overall.
Story. I love rhyming. So obviously, well, no, because then I would have to give other things higher. No.
Chris, for somebody who likes rhyming, that was the worst rhyme I've
I know,
ever heard
I was
in my
waiting
life.
for him to come up with something.
I like rhyming if it's got good timing.
I was, yeah. No, story, I'm going to give it I'm going to go 5. I'm going in the middle.
5. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, hold on. Now you're making me second guess.
What am I last
There's
again?
not really a whole lot of story going on.
The whole thing is a story.
It's just kind of telling you facts. It's not so much a story. Unless I just never
Don't
really
listen
pick
to
up on it. Yeah. I mean, I love certain aspects of it, but no. Let's go to 4. I'm going to go to 4.
Wow.
I'm in
Wow.
school when I do this. Yeah.
I thought I was talking him up, not down.
No. And now that I'm thinking about it, there's not really like a whole we got to go kill Dr. Seuss. So no. 4.
Wow, Tracy.
Wow. From the second you step through that portal, you are being told that story.
That's true. But that's
The entire story. You
yeah.
ask about the story. So you are getting that story all the way up. So you are then getting on one of Sylvester McMonkey McBean's machines, and you are going off to hear another story. If you are on the right-hand track, which I can't remember which colour that is, you actually get told a number of stories. My favourite being Too Many Daves, because I flipping love that story.
No take-backs, Chris.
You know,
No, I'm not taking it back. I want a question for Tracy.
Yeah.
And I guess for clarification for all of us. Because when I think story, I just go straight to the ride. But Tracy brought up a good point. It's
The
as soon as you
overall
get in,
story,
right?
Yeah.
So you include everything from beginning to end.
The story of the ride.
Yeah. Well, then you're saying the ride. Then
And sometimes that includes the queue.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm getting. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Basically,
I
the
have to
queue
put that in my
we're-
brain so I can remember that for
the
future.
queue
Go ahead.
we're rating on theming, I guess, when we talk
Yeah.
about the queue. It's the theming.
Yeah. I didn't look at it that way, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. But okay, go ahead, Tracy. Sorry.
See, I'm realising how knowledgeable I am on this ride as well, because what I've realised is you've got all the other rides that you're on of various stories. This ride virtually tells all of the other zoo stories. You go on the left-hand track and you are getting Circus McGurkus. You go through there, you get that whole story of if I ran the zoo and if I ran the circus. That you're getting all the other stories incorporated on 2 tracks. I seriously wish that you could do a full run round, because whichever track
'Cause
you
do, yeah,
board
you come
on,
back on the other
you come
one,
the
don't
opposite
you?
one, and I
Yeah.
wish you could go around and do the double track.
She's giving this a 10, by the way.
I'm giving it a 9.
I feel like crap.
So you should.
But this is my land. But yeah, it's story from literally step through that portal, as we call it now, to step it off.
Yeah. Yeah, it does tell an encompassing story from start to finish.
And it's multiple books.
Yeah, I'm going to give it... I don't think I can give it a 9, but I think it's definitely a 7. I think I'll give it...
Go.
All right, this is where things are going to start getting interesting. So, according to q-times.com, the average wait time for the Carousel, the High in the Sky Zeus trolley train ride is 21 minutes.
False.
The average wait time for all time is 21 minutes. That's not false, that's fact.
I have waited longer.
Christopher.
Uh-huh.
How worth that attraction is a 21-minute wait in line?
At 21 minutes, it's worth it. But it's never 21 minutes unless it's the end of the park. I get what you're going to tell me, that it's the average. I get that.
That's the point.
But
that's what we're ranking on. You're not ranking it on
Okay. Okay. At 21 minutes, if I come into the park, I have never ridden it, I would say absolutely wait 21 minutes. Aside from the ride being like just, it's cool because the whole, you get some cool view. Actually, the views do it for me. So yes, 21 minutes. I'll probably give it a solid 8.
21
and the
minutes.
Views are like the biggest draw there.
But then you talk about the ride, not the just.
But that is the ride. Remember, that's the ride.
Just
yeah,
but
like
you're not ranking the ride.
Is it worth the average wait?
That average wait time.
Yes, because my satisfaction and enjoyment of what are you basing worth the wait?
Yeah.
Worth the wait is what you are doing on there, right? And my satisfaction of getting that open view of the park is part of the ride for me, which is then worth the wait for said ride.
It's quite long. That's what she said.
That's what she said. Yep.
And it is. I think one track's better than the other. So I also think it depends on which track you're on. I much prefer the one that goes through Circus McGurkus. And to be fair, we rarely get on that one because I think it was closed for quite a while. And because of that, because you generally can't guarantee unless you're brave enough to ask, and even then they don't always allow you to go on a certain track, I'm going to give it a 7. Because I do like it. There's reasons I don't. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Tracy?
21 minutes. Not a lot of time considering the ride and what you get from that ride, not just all the stories, but the views as well. There's an issue that'll come up why it's dropping points. That's a personal issue.
I think I know.
Yeah.
They didn't consult her when they were making the ride.
Exactly. Disgusting. I am giving it a 7.
Okay. Michelle?
I'm again waffling between 6 and 7. 21 minutes is a bit long of a wait for me. However, Christmas time.
She'll wait 7 hours for Hagrid's, by the way.
Yeah.
Christmas time that's for this ride though. Christmas time at night, I would wait 21 minutes for it for sure. Nighttime, yes. I'll give it a 7 because there are times where I think it's 100% worth that wait.
Okay.
So,
moving on to the queue. I probably would have give the worth the wait 21 minutes slightly higher, but 21 minutes in that queue is torture. I hate that queue with a passion. It's horrible. It's a horrible, horrible queue. Like, I know we've given like 1 fish, 2 fish, and Carousel really low marks because there's nothing there. This has quite a big, semi-elaborate queue, but it's horrible. It's just it feels so claustrophobic when it's rammed. It's just awful. It moves really slowly. I can't stand it.
You think it has an elaborate queue?
Yeah, when you get up, because there's like that big thing in the middle, isn't there? When you go around
the stack of
the thing. To be fair, I spent most of that queue looking over the top and out across at Rip Ride Rocket in the studios, to be fair, most of the time. I hate that queue with a passion.
More than Rip Ride Rocket.
It's horrible. It's horrible. So I'm just going to give it 1.
Wow.
because I hate it.
Wow. Okay.
So if that to get the most out of that line, you would hate it because you need that cue to be right from the get-go, because then you get the time to read every little bit of that story going up to the top.
I hate it.
So you don't. So you actually end up rushing up about 3/4 of. I mean, there's no shortcut either.
No.
So
Unless you've got the guest assistance card, which which I've done with
Yeah.
Gillian, and then you bypass 90% of it. That's the only way it's
Yeah.
worth queuing for.
So no matter what, you are still doing the full
Yeah.
queue. And with it being a ramp, and then you stand in line, partway up that ramp, shuffling forwards. My back
Yeah,
and
that's
my
true.
hips and my knees. By the time I get on that ride, I am so stiff.
Yeah.
I can't get on the ride, and then I can't get off the ride. So that does impact my enjoyment of it. And that's why it's going to drop some points from me. However, I hadn't decided on how many points. For me, apart from the plaques and like the artwork, there's nothing else there. You've got that like column like you've mentioned,
Which desperately needs a clean up.
which I haven't actually...
Hasn't it got Sylvester McMonkey McBean in the middle of it? Because like the light lights up so you can't see him, and then you can see him, and then you can't see him.
yeah. And you can peek into the ride tents for a bit, and when you go up to the waiting platform, there's some great stuff on the walls, but it's not the best. And like you say, it gets hot, and it gets...
I never said it gets hot.
Oh, well, it gets claustrophobic, and it gets hot as well. So I'm giving that a 4.
A 4?
Mm.
Wow. Michelle?
I'm just looking at pictures of it, and for the regular queue, because here's the thing, I'm going to sound really 1%er here, but I don't usually ride this ride without Express Pass because it's not worth a long wait for me. So if I don't have Express or it's not a really short wait, I don't usually ride it. So I'm looking at the pictures of the regular queue. That queue is actually really cute. And so I'll give it a 6.
Okay. Chris?
I'll probably give it let's say a 4, a 3.
Are
3.
you sure?
Are you sure, Chris?
What?
Where you
Yeah,
going?
I think so.
3.
Well, and 3, yeah. My reasoning there is I agree with you, Lee, but not on everything, because I do think some of the queuing is cool, but it's so cramped in there.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, it always feels very cramped, and usually when I ride, it's with a bunch of other grown adult men or women, and it makes it feel even more cramped. Maybe
Yeah.
if you had children, it wouldn't feel like that, but
I know it's even worse when there's children around.
yeah. So
That's
yeah,
just life
3.
in general. Moving on, finally, our final thing is the ride itself. Tracy?
Yes. I love this ride. Yes, can we go? I want to ride it. What's not to like? You get to sit down for a bit. And it's not a short ride. It's not the longest ride, but it's not a short ride. You get great views. You get told great stories. The sounds and the other noises and things coming over the tannoy are super cute. And if you're riding with Joe, you get half a seat to yourself. That was brilliant. That was one of the best rides I've ever had in my life. Riding on a night is completely different. The views you get, and riding when it's all like the decorations up in the parks, looking across the lagoon, seeing stuff, beautiful. I'm giving this a 10.
A 10?
Yep.
Wow.
Whoa.
Jesus.
This ride makes my heart sing.
Michelle?
I like it, but definitely not a 10. I will give it a 7.
Okay. That's pretty
I like the ride. Yeah, I like the ride. I always have a good time on it. It does have a little tiny bit of a thrill factor to it if you don't like heights.
Well, Wow, Michelle's got her arms up all the way around.
Well, there is a height requirement on it, and sometimes little kids are a little afraid of it. So it does have a little thrill factor for a kid ride. I like the views. I love it at night. So yeah, I'll give it a 7.
Christopher.
This one is a solid ride for me. Like I said, my ranking of the worth the wait was pretty high based off of the ride and the views. And I'd honestly give it a 10 if it was still in its original form that it was going to be.
Sylvester McMonkey McBean's very unusual driving machines.
Yes. But I'm going to give it a solid 8. I get a lot of fun out of this ride. And if you hit it at the right time, and it doesn't have to be fully nighttime, but just kind of like dusk, and you get this, like you're up there. That I just, in my mind, I'm picturing right now, you're up there, you're doing the turn, you have that open view of the lagoon, and this perfect, crisp, like breeze of air hits you. Like it's this trifecta of like awesomeness. So
you're right.
8. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the best ride in Seuss Landing, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I love how interactive it can be. You know, we go through Circus, whenever we get to go through Circus Circus, we always wave, see if anyone waves back. Most people don't because they're miserable. As I say, it's the closest thing either park has got to, and I've said this before, I lament the fact that Universal doesn't have something like a Magic Kingdom Railroad. An attraction that you can get off your feet and be entertained for a little bit of time without it being a full-on attraction. And this is the closest thing you've got to that, really. Because it's, I don't even know how long it is, to be fair. But, yeah, the stories it tells are awesome. The views around the park are fantastic. At night or during the day, whenever you do it, it's awesome. During the holidays is great as well. Yeah, I like it a lot. Again, there's things I don't like about it, but we just talk about the ride at this point, and if we could take out all the things that I don't like about it, it would probably be a solid 10 overall, but I'm going to give it an 8. I think I like it a lot. So that gives it a 129 points. So after doing Seuss Landing, coming in this order, we have The Cat in the Hat at 134 points. The High in the Sky Zeus Trolley Train Ride at 129 points. Then One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish at 73 points. And the Carousel with 67 points.
I feel that's
this
wrong.
is fun. I like this.
Actually,
yes. I think it's a weird land to start with because there's not a lot for certain things to talk about, but we're going to get into lands later on where there's going to be a lot more elaboration on certain topics in them for definite, and it's going to be interesting to see where they all shake out by the time we finish this as well.
Yeah.
For definite.
Yeah. Very
interesting. I feel we may take some heat for our final overall ranking, but I couldn't give a toss.
It'll be funny if Cat in the Hat ends up like up there with Velocicoaster
like,
and Hagrid's, only because we started with this.
It'll be like
if I see
5.
Fast and Furious anywhere up there,
Uh-huh.
I'm quitting.
I don't even want to hear it, you guys.
I'm already miffed.
Why?
Because I feel like Hand the Sky should have been higher.
Above Cat in the Hat. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? But this is why, because we're not this is why we're not just ranking the ride. It would be too easy for us just to go rank the ride out of 50 points or whatever. Whereas you break it down, it gives it a more like a, I can't think of the word I want to use.
It gives them a fair rating.
Yeah, because
like
you're not
chance.
just ranking your favourite ride and you're just going to give it 10 because you know you will. This is the different elements of it. I think it gives it a fairer overall ranking. It gives us something to talk about as well. Attractions that we
just like when we did Diagon Alley versus Hogsmeade, we thought we knew what the winner was going to be, and then we were like, what?
Yep. Cool. Right. That is going to wrap up the podcast, and don't forget we want you to let us know how bad Fast and Furious Supercharged is by submitting your fun facts about how bad it actually is, and you can get them to us at podcast@uuopodcast.com. But until next week, we'll see you all then. Bye.
Are you insane? Get out of here. The curse, it's real. The podcast is over. So, the Magi want you to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, and Pinterest. Just search UUO Podcast. For all the podcast news and articles, check out our blog at uuopodcast.com. Contact us by emailing us at podcast@uuopodcast.com. And if you want to join the Producers Club, email us at uuopproducers@gmail.com. Silence! With your subscriptions, we shall rule for all eternity. Listen and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Not even the Magi can save you now. There is no escape. Your end shall be my beginning. Prepare yourself for your next trip by emailing Michelle at portkeyvacations.com. She can take care of all aspects of your next Universal Orlando vacation. We hope you enjoyed your podcast. Please remain seated and keep your arms and legs inside the prepare to forfeit your souls. Check out the other podcasts on the UUOP network. Rush of Fear, Halloween Horror Nights podcast, the theme park duo for all your West Coast news and info, and the Taste of Universal, Universal Orlando food podcast. So hey, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. I would have enjoyed this podcast a lot more if I had gotten my cup of coffee.